everyone. This is Charles Fockaert on March the 9th, 2018, and I welcome all of you. Thank you for your participation in this channel. I really appreciate it. And a special thanks this morning for Scott for your support of this channel, buddy. I really appreciate it. I got good use for it, and I thank you. I got up this morning at 4:38, and I wanted to share with you something that has helped me to get up early. You know, early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. And what I want to share with you is Proverbs 26:14. But before we go to there, I was reading later on this morning. I was reading in 1 Corinthians 3:19. And then it referred to Job, and I went back to Job, and I'm kind of putting this all together here. It's about the craftiness of men, and we're going to get into that. So that's what this video is about. So if you don't want to learn about the wisdom of God and the wisdom of Yahweh and the craftiness of men, then this is not the video for you. See ya. Anyway, let's go look at Proverbs chapter 26, verse 14, shall we? As I've said many times before, I make it a habit to read at least one chapter in Proverbs every morning, and this morning is March the 9th, but I want to bring you here to Proverbs 26. There's so much here, but see, look at verse 11 up here. As a dog returns to his vomit, so a fool returns to his folly. You can talk to a fool, and they keep going back, and they keep repeating the same thing over and over again, and that's why talking to a fool is a waste of time. But anyway, I wanted to show you, this is what helps me to get out of bed early, no matter how early it is, and this is Proverbs 26:14. As the door turns upon his hinges, so doth the slothful upon his bed. As a door turns upon his hinges, so doth the slothful upon his bed. So I go to bed early, and I know some people, they like to stay up late. I personally, I'm just not a night person. I'm an early morning person. And this verse has helped me to get up early. Okay, last night I went to bed about 9 o'clock. And I will often play an MP3 and I'll listen to, so I might not fall asleep for a while. But last night I went to bed at 9 o'clock. So at 4:30, I was awake. And when you add 3 hours, 9 to 12 is 3 hours. And from 12 o'clock to 4:30 is 4.5 hours. So that is, I had 7.5 hours of sleep at that time, at 4:30 a.m. Now, a lot of people would just, 4:30, that's early, man. I'm going to roll over. As a door turneth upon his hinges, I'm going to roll over and get me another few minutes, which becomes an hour. And I've mentioned on another video, a couple videos, that all of us have 2 hours. I believe all of us have at least 2 hours a day for ourselves that we can use for education, edification, self-improvement, meditation, being in the Word of God. And a lot of people, like a door turns upon his hinges, will roll over and waste some of that 2 hours. And I'm here to tell you that I think the difference between a lot of people is what they do with those 2 hours a day that they have. A lot of them, what do they do with it? They sleep in, or they watch Talmud Vision, or they slip in a movie, Netflix, and they waste an hour and a half, 2 hours getting their mind filled with wicked imaginations. And we've already gone into that. Videos out there on wicked imaginations. That's what all, and I've noticed down here at the library, a lot of these movies are horror movies now. And, you know, back in the 50s, early 60s, when there was a crime, a murder on Talmud Vision, you didn't actually get to watch the murder. The camera panned away and it went to something else, but you knew that there was an individual got murdered. And I'm thinking of that movie Psycho, where the woman gets killed in the shower. Okay, that's a good example. Today, we see all the gore, we see the violence, and we don't need to. So we fill our mind with all this wicked imaginations, and we know where those wicked imaginations come from. But that's not the point of this video. That's not the subject of this video. The subject of this video is about verse 19, this phrase right here. For it is written, He, Yahweh, taketh the wise in their own craftiness. And let's go back up here to verse 18, shall we? Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise. All right, you know how you become wise? Is that you become a fool. Now, how many times have you been called a fool because you believe that only the Israelites, only the Caucasian race can be redeemed? How many times have you been told that you're a fool because you say that the gospel is not for everyone? How many times have you been called a fool because you don't believe in the spinning spear earth? How many times have you been called a fool because you believe the earth is a level plane? How many times, huh? Alrighty, but here's what we take, or at least what I take comfort in. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with Yahweh. For it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. And this, for it is written, is back in Job. So let's go have a look in Job, shall we? So we have Paul, the apostle, to the dispersed Israelites, not to the Gentiles, but he's quoting Job here. And I love to read the Word of God. And if you believe what it says, man, what a comfort. Verse 7 here. Yet a man is born under trouble. And look who's talking here. Now we got Job talking. If you know the history of Job, boy, he knows what he's talking about, right? He's speaking from experience. I would seek unto God, or unto Yahweh, and unto Yahweh would I commit my cause. His name, our God's name is Yahweh. Verse 9, which doeth, Yahweh doeth great things and unsearchable, marvelous things without number, who gives rain upon the earth and sends waters upon the fields, to set up on high those that be low. That's you and us, you and me, folks. Those that mourn may be exalted to safety. And here's the two verses I want you to, I want us to look at. He disappoints the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. This is a verse Paul quotes. And the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. They meet with darkness in the daytime and grope in the noonday as in the night. But here's us, folks. But he saveth the poor from the sword, from their mouth, and from the hand of the mighty. So the poor hath hope, and iniquity stops her mouth. Behold, happy is the man whom Yahweh corrects. Therefore despise not the chastening of the Almighty. For he maketh sore, he binds up, and he wounds, and his hands make whole. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. Yea, in 7 there shall be no evil touch thee. In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it comes. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beast of the earth. And I could go on, but folks, that's why I'm not concerned about what's ahead of us. I'm not concerned at all. So once again, he disappoints the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He takes the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward. That's a hard word for me to say. I want to say forward, but it's Forward. Forward, like forward. Forward. There we go. Got it. Thank you. So, and you know, there's this going on that our enemies being, their plans aren't working out like they wanted to. Like I read the other day that Facebook, he's losing, what do you call it? He's losing subscribers, let's say, and they're spending less time on his platform. And YouTube has a lot of competition. There's other websites now. There's other platforms coming on board that they won't be able to ban, and they won't be able to censor, etc. And BitChute, I want to put in a plug for BitChute again. My last video, or the one before that, was on a comparison between BitChute and YouTube. Folks, we're going to end up over at BitChute, and I think we should, so that we're not using the crafty. How's that say again? My memory isn't what it used to be. Yeah, there we go. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. He disappoints the devices of the crafty. Okay? And let's go have a look at one more, and then we'll call it quits. I wanted to, he uses, he uses a magician, a barefooted, an unwise musician to take these guys in their own craftiness. And so let's go have a look at that, shall we? I think this stuff is so entertaining, and our entertainment, our amusement is at the Esau Edomites' expense, folks. Don't you love it? Let's go have a look at that, shall we?
And what comes after the International Space Station once its mission is over? How do we ensure the presence of humans in space?
Well, that's a great question. The plan that NASA has is to build a rocket called SLS, which is a heavy lift rocket. It's something that is much bigger than what we have today, and it will be able to launch the Orion capsule with humans on board, as well as landers or other components to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So the moon, Mars, asteroids, there's a lot of destinations that we could go to, and we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
Well, let me me tell you something about the space station. It's only really there in your imagination. That thing ain't real, it's science fiction. It's there to feed your space addiction. Those astronauts are not in space. It's written all over their stupid face. See, I can spot a lie from 100 miles, and I can spot a fraud from the way they smile. Didn't you learn nothing from the fake moon mission? That puppet show from President Nixon. Well, listen up, they're doing it again, it seems. Check out the harnesses and green screens. I used to work a...
So what they're saying, folks, is we can't go out of low Earth orbit because we don't have the rockets, spacecraft we want to go out. I was talking to a guy here the other day, and I said, well, you know, it's interesting we haven't been back to the moon since 1972. And, you know, right away he had the brainwashed answer, well, we don't have the rockets. We don't have the Well, wait a minute. We had the rockets in 1969, and we had the rockets in 1972 for the Apollo program. But we quit making rockets. So 72 to 2018, I don't know how many years that is. It's quite a few years, folks. And he said, oh, we have to use the Russian rockets in order to get up there. And I go, well, wait a minute. Russia was our enemy from after the war, World War II, the Cold War, all the way to 1990. So we were supposed to depend on the Russians, our enemy. And you remember back in the... I remember this stuff. I remember back in the 60s, we had to get to the moon first because Russians were ahead of us. And that's why we had to hurry up and get to the moon first. Well, when you understand we never went to the moon, and we never had the capability back in 1969 and 1970s, early 70s, that's why they can't do it today. But once they get it done, once they get them what did he call it? I forget, SSI or some, SLS or something. And we're gonna go to asteroids and Mars. So let's go take a look at the asteroids, shall we?
Oh my God, you guys! There's an asteroid and it's gonna fly, but I have just been informed that that happened on Monday. But it's still cool, guys. Hey, Astro Girls and Astro Boys, Trace here for D-News. Thank you for watching. Last Monday, 2004 BL-86 made a spectacular flyby of our planet. It was the closest object to pass until 2027, when 1999 AN-10 passes inside of the moon's orbit. That's pretty close. We know this because NASA's Near-Earth Object Office has a list of everything that has or will pass close to the Earth from 1900 all the way to 2200. And just because BL-86 was the closest in a while doesn't mean it's the only one. Asteroids ranging in size pass us all the time. Most asteroids are not necessarily discovered by NASA, but by organizations and astronomers the world over. BL-86 was discovered in 2004 by MIT's Lincoln Near-Earth Asteroid Research Lab, or LINEAR. When a near-Earth object, or NEO, is discovered, the discovery is sent to the International Astronomical Union's Minor Planet Center. And if they confirm it, they give it a designation of a year, and then an alphanumeric combo. They measure closeness of these orbits in two ways, by AU, or astronomical units, or LD, lunar distances. 1 AU is the average distance from the center of the sun to the center of the Earth, and 1 LD is the average from Earth to the moon. BL-86 was 0.0080 astronomical units, or 3.1 lunar distances from Earth. This sounds close, but 2015 BE-92 will only pass 0.0083 AUs, or 3.2 lunar distances, and that happens today. And as you might have guessed from the designation, 2015 BE-92 was only discovered this year. But let's not get into some fear-mongering, right? Come on, guys. Yeah, there are millions of asteroids flying around out there, and yeah, sure, some of them could end our existence, though you don't have to worry. Through hardy international efforts, we have cataloged 95% of all human extinction asteroids, which are those that are more than 1 kilometer wide, and none of them are gonna hit us. None. But just for fun, what if in that last 5% we did find one that was gonna hit? What would we do? It all depends on when we discover it. The sooner, the better. The more lead time NASA and other space agencies have, the better it will be for us. As Scott Hubbard, a professor at Stanford and former NASA employee, said, the reason dinosaurs went extinct is they didn't have a space program. We have to be looking for these asteroids. Aside from sending Bruce Willis and Batman to blow it up, which wouldn't work anyway, you'd have to blow up many bombs over decades to deflect a massive asteroid, but that's a whole other story. There is other ways to deflect them. My favorite plan is the gravity tractor. With a lead time of about 20 years, NASA scientists could construct and launch a craft, which would then park near an asteroid, wouldn't touch it. Then physics would do the rest. The gravity of that man-made satellite would slowly pull the asteroid off of its collision course over the period of, say, a year. And then boom, we're saved. There are no daring men and women risking their lives, just science. Switching gears for a moment, though, we'd like to thank Domain.com for this episode. No domain extension will help you tell your story like a .com.
Well, lunar boys and girls, that happens today. I guess this program's for lunar boys and girls. And, you know, the guy was, I don't know, a little fishy there. Anyway, they got millions and millions and millions of, they had it all in this, folks. They have millions and millions of asteroids out there, right? And they have the Hollywood movie, got Bruce Willis, and I looked that up. That's that movie, Armageddon. And they had the appeal to authority, the guy that worked there or was a professor at Harvard, and he used to work for NASA. I think he was a janitor at NASA. And they had, it's all there, folks. Didn't you like the, what was it, the asteroid tractor? Let me go look. I gotta check. This got me, boy. That's it, the gravity tractor.
My favorite plan is the gravity tractor. With a lead time of about 20 years, NASA scientists could construct and launch a craft, which would then park near an asteroid, wouldn't touch it. Then physics would do the rest. The gravity of that man-made satellite would slowly pull the asteroid off of its collision course over the period of, say, a year. And then
the gravity tractor. Aren't you happy they're spending our $20 billion a year on gravity tractors? And people believe this stuff. I mean, that was 3.5, 4 minutes worth of male cow dung if I've ever seen it, folks. But hey, oh boy. I mean, these people realize that if they can fool you on what they fooled you already, they can fool you on anything. And well, but anyway, let's one last thing, and then we're gonna call it quits here, folks.
Now, one thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth. There's no place to go. The Earth is a closed system.
You didn't make the payment again, Lefty.
Yeah.
This has happened before, Lefty.
Yeah.
Not gonna let you get away with it this time.
Okay.
The payment's gotta be made on time.
Okay.
You haven't made the payments.
Okay.
Now you're gonna make the final installment.
Don't shoot!
Lose something, punk. Speedwalker!
Speedwalker!
Well, let me tell you something about the space station. It's only really there in your imagination. That thing ain't real. It's science fiction. It's there to feed your space addiction. Those astronauts are not in space. It's written all over their stupid face. See, I can spot a lie from 100 miles, and I can spot a fraud from the way they smile. Didn't you learn nothing from the fake moon mission? That puppet show from President Nixon. Well, listen up, they're doing it again, it seems. Check out the harnesses and green screens. I used to work a lot in film and TV. I know a bit of television trickery to create the illusion that you're somewhere that you're not. A green screen is what you're gonna use a lot. Or if you wear a harness and attach it to the ceiling, the illusion that you're floating is what they'll be believing. All you're watching is a puppet show. Yeah, the whole world's a stage. Astronauts, they're actors, of course, and yeah, they all get paid. Look at me, Ma, I'm floating in space. No, you're not, you're lying to the human race. So let me tell you something about a zero-G plane. This thing flies.